February 22, 2014, Mazatlan, Mexico, 6:40 a.m. Mexican Marines surround a beachside condo. 72 hours of surveillance, nothing suspicious. Just a normal building on a normal street. They knock. Marines flood the apartment in 30 seconds. In the bedroom, Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán, blinking at flashlights, wife frozen beside him, no weapon in reach, no escape route prepared. The most wanted man on earth is in handcuffs before he finishes waking up. 20 years of DEA pursuit, hundreds of millions of dollars spent, thousands of agents across 3 decades hunting one man who built tunnels under international borders, escaped maximum security prison twice, and flooded American cities with more drugs than anyone in recorded history. They caught him because he ordered room service under his real name. How does one man outsmart the most powerful law enforcement agency on Earth for 30 straight years and build a $14 billion empire while doing it? Most drug lords before El Chapo built products. Control the cocaine, control the money. Simple logic. Also fatal logic, because the moment one shipment gets seized, one route gets burned, one distributor gets arrested, the whole structure starts collapsing inward. El Chapo built around infrastructure instead. His first tunnel was discovered by U.S. Customs in 1990, 1,200 feet long, running from a warehouse in Agua Prieta, Mexico, directly into Douglas, Arizona. Hydraulic doors, full drainage system, electric lighting throughout. The agents who found it stood inside for several minutes in complete silence because nothing in their training had prepared them for what they were looking at. By the time they found the tunnel, El Chapo had already completed 3 more. This single decision separates him from every other drug lord in history. When the DEA shuts down one route, 5 others are already running. When they arrest one distributor, that distributor knows almost nothing useful, because El Chapo has compartmentalized everything from day one. Cells operating completely independently. Contacts who know faces but not names. Names but not locations. No single person in the entire network holds enough information to collapse the structure above them. Military counterintelligence doctrine applied to drug trafficking, a full decade before any law enforcement agency on Earth thinks to describe it that way. But infrastructure alone does not explain 30 years of staying free. El Chapo understands something about the Sierra Madre mountains that no satellite can photograph and no budget can replicate. He grew up in La Tuna, a village so remote, the Mexican government never bothered paving a road to it. Every relationship built across those mountains since childhood functions as a wall between him and whoever is hunting him at any given moment. He funds schools in villages where the government builds nothing, paves roads where federal infrastructure simply stops, provides employment where no legal economy has ever existed. The DEA can send agents anywhere in Sinaloa. What it cannot send is 30 years of loyalty earned through concrete investment in people who have no other protector, no other option, and no reason to trust anyone wearing a federal badge. By 1993, the Sinaloa cartel generates an estimated $3 billion annually. The DEA formally places El Chapo on their most wanted list. A federal bounty lands on his head. Senior officials hold press conferences promising his imminent capture. He builds another tunnel. The DEA is beginning to understand they are not chasing a criminal. They are chasing a system that was specifically designed so that removing any single piece, any distributor, any route, any associate, changes nothing about how the whole machine runs. Every law enforcement agency in the world is trained to find the head and cut it off. El Chapo has built an organization with no single head to cut. Just infrastructure running in every direction simultaneously, regenerating any severed connection within weeks, absorbing every blow the DEA delivers, and continuing to operate as if nothing happened at all. By the mid-1990s, the Sinaloa cartel is the most powerful drug trafficking organization in human history, and its architect has never spent a single day inside an American courtroom. June 1993. A cartel shootout accidentally kills a Catholic cardinal. Wrong place, catastrophically wrong time. Political pressure on the Mexican government becomes impossible to absorb publicly. El Chapo gets caught in Guatemala, extradited back to Mexico, and sentenced to 20 years in Puente Grande, a maximum security facility that Mexican officials publicly and repeatedly describe as escape-proof. He serves 8 years. 8 years is precisely enough time to understand exactly how a system fails from the inside. Puente Grande runs 300 guards, electronic surveillance on every corridor, multiple reinforced perimeter walls, and movement protocols built specifically around its highest-profile prisoner. What it also runs is 300 human beings earning government wages in a country where those wages buy very little comfort and leave very little margin for unexpected expenses. El Chapo spends 8 years doing what he has always done, mapping the system from inside it, learning names, learning family situations, learning which guard has 3 children in school and cannot afford the fees, which administrator handles movement documentation on the night shift, which kitchen worker accesses sections of the facility that no prisoner ever reaches through normal channels, which relationships built carefully over months might one day become useful in a specific and practical way. He does not rush a single conversation. Every small favor returned is a future asset under construction. Every name learned is a potential key to a door that does not yet need opening. He is patient in the specific way that only a man who built everything he owns from absolute zero truly understands patience, not waiting for something to happen, but preparing for the exact moment when everything needs to happen simultaneously. By January 2001, he has cultivated enough relationships inside Puente Grande that what happens next is not really an escape. It is a scheduled departure, January 19, 2001. A laundry cart rolls out of the maximum security wing pushed by a prison worker on his completely normal shift. Guards log it through 3 separate checkpoints without inspection because it is a laundry cart, and laundry carts leave the facility every single day without incident and have done so for years. El Chapo is inside the cart. He transfers to a vehicle, waiting outside the perimeter, and is moving through the Sierra Madre mountains before the next scheduled cell check. When the Mexican government announces the escape the following morning, the international law enforcement community reacts with a combination of disbelief and fury that is difficult to overstate. The DEA director publicly calls it one of the most embarrassing moments in the history of Mexican law enforcement. In 3 countries issue immediate statements demanding answers from the Mexican government. Investigations are launched into how 300 guards and a full electronic surveillance system failed to detect a man leaving in a laundry cart. Careers end. Senior prison officials face criminal charges for their role in facilitating or ignoring what happened. El Chapo issues no statement and makes no contact with anyone outside his immediate circle. He is already back in the mountains, already back inside the infrastructure network that kept running without interruption throughout his entire 8 years of incarceration, already planning the next phase of an operation that the DEA will spend another 13 years trying to stop. The 13 years between his 2001 escape and his 2014 arrest are when the DEA's worst fears stop being theoretical and become operational reality on American streets. El Chapo does not disappear after Puente Grande, he expands. The Sinaloa cartel transforms under his direct leadership into the wholesale supplier for drug distribution networks running across the entire United States simultaneously: Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Dallas, Phoenix. Cities where Sinaloa product flows are not simply markets. They are subsidiaries operating within a structure that El Chapo controls from mountain headquarters in Mexico. Local gangs across American cities become franchise partners. Product arrives on credit. Payment returns in cash on predetermined schedules. Sinaloa pricing governs every transaction. Sinaloa rules govern every relationship. Sinaloa consequences apply to anyone who violates either one without exception. At peak operation, the DEA estimates El Chapo's organization controls 80% of the drug supply entering Chicago alone, a city of 2.7 million people where 4 out of every 5 street-level drug transactions trace back to one man operating from the Sierra Madre. His personal fortune reaches an estimated $14 billion. Forbes magazine includes him on their annual list of the world's most powerful people. the only drug trafficker in the publication's entire history to appear there alongside heads of state and technology billionaires. The DEA responds with the most sustained and resource-intensive pursuit of a single individual in the agency's history. Informants get embedded inside distribution networks at multiple organizational levels, simultaneously feeding intelligence upward through handlers. Wiretaps run on dozens of phone lines connected to known Sinaloa operations across Mexico and the United States. Satellite surveillance monitors cartel properties across 3 Mexican states around the clock without interruption. Financial forensics teams track cartel money through shell companies registered across 17 countries, on 4 continents, attempting to find assets that can be frozen or seized. Senior Sinaloa figures get arrested in coordinated sweeps. Major tunnel systems get discovered, documented, and sealed. Warehouses containing hundreds of millions in cash get raided on both sides of the border in operations involving hundreds of agents. Each time, El Chapo is already somewhere else. He rotates through burner phones destroyed after a single use with no exceptions. Holds critical meetings exclusively in Sierra Madre terrain that surveillance aircraft cannot effectively monitor from any altitude. Passes operational instructions through intermediary chains where each individual person knows only their single immediate contact. Never the origin of the instruction, never its final destination. He changes sleeping locations every few days without establishing any pattern. Never uses the same travel route twice. Never creates any behavioral rhythm that trained surveillance teams can identify, predict, and position against. And underneath all of it, those 30 years of mountain relationships that no federal budget has ever been able to purchase or replicate continue functioning as the most effective and most invisible protection system he has ever constructed. The DEA gets close multiple times. Operations end with major Sinaloa arrests and record seizures. Each time, the final move that would put El Chapo himself in handcuffs finds him one step ahead. Until February 2014, when patient long-term surveillance of his inner communications network finally produces actionable coordinates. Marines move on the Mazatlan condo at dawn. No resistance, no tunnel beneath the building, no backup plan activated. A man in pajamas, handcuffs. He gets placed in Altiplano, Mexico's most secure facility. Specifically rebuilt for this prisoner, with new protocols designed around every documented failure at Puente Grande. New surveillance, new guard rotations, new access restrictions throughout the facility. Everyone is confident this time is permanent. 17 months later, the cell is empty again. What sits beneath that shower floor stops every expert who later examines it completely cold. 1 full mile of tunnel, 5 feet tall throughout its entire length without variation. Reinforced walls running from entrance to exit. A dedicated ventilation system pumping fresh air continuously from one end to the other, keeping the space breathable for extended work periods. Electric lighting running on its own dedicated circuit the full length. And mounted on steel rails built directly into the tunnel floor. A modified motorcycle, constructed specifically for this single operation, used to carry excavated dirt back out in quantities precisely controlled, so that surface disposal at the warehouse end leaves absolutely no visible trace anywhere near the prison grounds. Workers entered through a property located half a mile from Altiplano's outer perimeter wall. They angled downward at a calculated grade designed to arrive at one specific point. Not the cell block, not the general wing. The exact precise coordinates of the shower drain in El Chapo's individual cell. That level of accuracy requires confirmed interior measurements from someone with direct facility access. Every cubic meter of removed earth requires coordinated disposal, conducted across months of active construction. The entire operation runs directly beneath a prison, conducting round-the-clock electronic surveillance on the most monitored prisoner in modern Mexican penal history. Nobody above ground notices a single thing across the entire construction period. On the night of July 11, 2015, El Chapo steps into his shower during the window between guard checks, lifts the pre-cut floor section waiting beneath the drain, and descends into the tunnel. The rail motorcycle carries him the full mile through reinforced darkness. He surfaces inside the warehouse. A vehicle idles outside with the engine already running. He reaches the mountains before the next scheduled check finds the empty cell at 8:52 p.m. 6 months. The largest coordinated manhunt in Mexican history follows. Every major road monitored, every border checkpoint locked. Every known associate placed under active around-the-clock surveillance. January 8, 2016, Los Mochis, Sinaloa. Joint U.S.-Mexico intelligence finally pinpoints a safe house through coordinated surveillance of his remaining communication network. Marines move before sunrise. El Chapo attempts to exit through a drainage channel running beneath the property floor. Marines are already waiting at the other end, taken without a single shot fired. January 19, 2017. Exactly 16 years from the day the laundry cart rolled out of Puente Grande, El Chapo boards a Mexican government aircraft under maximum security escort and lands at MacArthur Airport on Long Island, New York. The DEA agents standing on that tarmac have spent entire careers working toward this single moment. Trial opens November 2018 in federal court in Brooklyn. More than 56 witnesses testify across 3 months. Former cartel partners, former Mexican government officials describing direct cash payments made for operational protection across multiple administrations. Financial experts tracing $14 billion across 4 continents. The jury deliberates 6 days, guilty on all 10 counts, life in federal prison plus 30 years. Transfer to ADX Florence in Colorado. The Supermax, where prisoners spend 23 hours daily in complete isolation and every vulnerability of every facility that previously held him has been permanently sealed. He is there today. Prisoner 89416-053, 30 years, 2 escapes, $14 billion built from a mountain village with no roads. He was not brought down by satellites or informants or intelligence operations. He was brought down by room service.